Ray's coming on tomorrow. Kevin Dan is going to come up here in about 25 minutes, cash us out one time.
Rain dance!
Donald Foyle, 10:30. Doc Pandia, 11:30. You all up in between at 888-957-9570. That is the number. Xfinity Mobile text line open as well. 888-957-9570. Hey, Twitch, YouTube, keep your comments coming there as well. Yeah, I'm into this, and maybe some of you could all weigh in. This is off of not just Brian Windhorst, it's everything that everyone's been saying. Why are we seemingly chasing the idea that there's commentary out there that the Warriors are the better team rather than just focusing on them winning? Now, in the end, we do, right? We're here for the games. We want them to win. That's what matters. But we also want recognition. It's almost as if, I don't know, I feel like when we're watching games, sometimes we fall into our 5-year-old selves. You know what I mean? Like when you're a kid, what do you want? You just want mom and dad to see you.
You want to be validated.
Yeah, you want them to, right? See let's do open house. Here's my artwork, and here's my this, and here's my that. Rather than just doing the artwork, you want the recognition for the artwork. A lot of us fans, that seems to be what we're chasing with the Warriors. Not just the artwork, the recognition of it.
I think what Warriors fans are more aware of is the fact that so many talking heads are so quick to put down what the Warriors are doing and what the Warriors have done. Now, for me, maybe it's because I'm older and I understand the nature of sports. It comes down to wins and losses. You either win the championship or you lose the championship. You either make the playoffs or you don't make the playoffs. Whatever some out-of-market national talking head thinks about how we're doing it, why we're doing it, what we're doing, all the rest of it, that means nothing to me. And this is not to disparage Brian Windhorst because he's getting paid. Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, the GOAT, Rob Parker, who at least for me, Rob Parker, tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
I think Rob's a little bit different. Because
Rob's a friend.
You can hear it in his voice that he knows how full of it he is, but he's doing it because it's a bit.
Listen, Rob and I used to get your drip ready. The reason Rob and I know each other, we used to do a show together on Fox. Okay? Yeah, no, not the TV, the radio. And I would say to him, whenever he went into Rob Parkerville, he's the GOAT. Whenever he did that, I'd look at him and I'd go, dude, keep your FS1 crap off this show. This is a radio show. You and I are sitting here. I don't need
conversation.
I don't need your FS1. Right. I'm needling you. I'm going to try to create something viral on social media. And he would double over in pain, laughing. Off air. Right. He would just laugh, and then he'd pull himself back together and then start talking. I've said this to y'all before. I hope everybody gets it. This is what I envision. When Stephen A. and Skip and Shannon and Kendrick, whoever, Kellerman, when they're doing their thing, picture them going to an after party. And together, they sit around in a circle on couches. It's smoky. They've got cigars, snifters, and they're sitting around with their legs crossed, laughing at the fact that everybody bought in.
No. They're sitting there swapping hot takes. They're shouting each other down.
I don't think
material.
So. Yeah, exactly.
Skip, I gotta tell you about Draymond Green.
You better be careful.
Yeah, They have no off button, Mark. That's what I believe.
It's really funny that we take this to be authentic. Do you think Steven orders dinner that way?
I want the ribs.
I'm going to get fettuccine, and you best not mess up the Alfredo.
Rob Parker.
Do you
know who you're I want the pork.
This is not real. This is not real.
He's the GOAT.
Don't be disrespectful.
I'm being disrespectful.
No, and again, to a lesser degree, your Brian Windhorsts are of the same vein. Maybe he's not a loud shouter, but the very nature, and you mentioned this earlier in the week, the nature of what we do, not only in the media, but as people, we are quicker to find flaw than we are to give credit. And that's why this whole thing about it's a checkbook win and you're going to disparage whatever happened. Just enjoy the game, as I borrow from Jeff Kent. You enjoy the game. And if the Warriors don't win one of the next two and Boston wins in 7, yes, we'll come on the show on Monday and we'll talk critically about what went wrong for the Warriors.
I'll be mad.
Hopefully we'll give a little flowers to Boston if they were able to earn it. Whatever happens, I don't want to ever be in a spot where I'm just flatly disparaging organizations for doing it a certain way.
So let's extend that conversation to the ultimate rebuttal. And some of this is the national debate shows, and some of this is actually what people authentically think. I don't know where Brian Windhorst falls on this. I know, for instance, my on-again, off-again partner with the stuff I'm doing at Fox now, Ryan Hollins, former NBA player. He does stuff with the Rockets now. He genuinely, he's not that. He's not hot take Jake. He genuinely, he's one of these guys, you can see it, Mark. The Celtics are the better team. Here's my rebuttal to everybody who has looked at this series and said, well, top to bottom, the Celtics are the better team. A, it doesn't matter. And B, no, they're not. No one in the last 8 years has been better than the Golden State Warriors. Not LeBron, not Kyrie, not Kawhi, and certainly not Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I don't care what you think about the 8th player on the bench over here, this matchup over there. How on earth can you watch a team go to the finals 6 times in 8 years, be on the doorstep of putting ring number 4 on their finger, on one hand have debates in one segment about whether or not Steph Curry should be on Mount Rushmore, and in the next sentence say, but the Celtics are the better team? Nobody's better than the Warriors. This is not homerism. This is not anything. This is not flagship. This is data. This is look in front of you, see what's happened over 8 years, and how on earth can you rationally come to the table and tell me that someone's better than this team? It's absurd.
There's two different things here, because over an 8-year period, the Warriors as an organization, not a team, an organization, have been the gold standard in the NBA. That is something you can't refute based on what you talked about, 6 finals in 8 years. Now, take this team. And this team versus Boston, team versus team in a vacuum. You can make an argument that Boston is a better team. But the beauty of what we're doing in sports, you mentioned it, these teams play each other. Right. And this is not, we can look at the Packers and Niners in the NFC divisional round game. And if you looked at those two teams, the Packers were a better team. But on that day, on the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, the 49ers were a better team the only time that it mattered. And so if you want to tell me that Boston's a better team, fine. You're an idiot. It's nonsense because these teams have played 5 times and the Warriors have won 3 of the 5. Now, if the Warriors win one of the next 2, are you still going to be beating the drum that Boston's a better team? If you're still beating that drum after the Warriors win the NBA Finals, then you have your head so stuck in the sand, it's an ostrich take, Mark.
By the way, I'd like to also crown the 2022 college football national champions. It will be the Alabama Crimson Tide.
They're the best team.
Yeah, we don't need to actually. There was a fun. Do you know who Joel Klatt is? Joel Klatt, right?
Yeah, Fox Sports
College.
Yeah.
So I saw him tweet this yesterday, and it just made me chuckle. So he tweets, every day I get a bit more excited about this coming college football season. Here's a look at my top 5 headed into 2022. Number 1, Alabama.
That's a stretch.
Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Georgia. Number 4, Texas A&M. And number 5, Notre Dame, with acknowledgments to Michigan, Michigan State, and Clemson. And I went, wow, you're right, Joel. I can't wait. You mean that this year Alabama and Ohio State and Georgia are good? Ooh, can't get... Boy, I can't wait for that. That's going to be I can't even... I've never thought of such a thing. Ridiculous.
It's disgusting to what we're into right now.
And when we get to New Year's Eve, we will be having discussions about these very 8 teams and which one deserves to be in the Final Four because their 11-1 was better than your 11-1. Because that's what college football falls into. They care who the quote-unquote better team is, rather than, how about if we just play some football and the winner gets to move on?
No. We don't want that. You don't want South Florida against Virginia Tech in the national championship game. You lose millions, tens of millions of dollars if that's the matchup. And you look at college football now, looking ahead to 3 months from now, there's about 4 games that matter. Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, Texas A&M, assuming they play, Ohio State, Michigan, and that's pretty much it.
Clemson versus somebody.
Sure. North Carolina maybe rises up this year.
Yeah, somebody does something. Yeah, and then there's Notre Dame games. And then we want them to be good because the networks, and then maybe they're not. So the whole conversation is just kind of weird to me because we love this stuff. We love sports. And this is what it is. Sports without upsets.
I love it.
What are we doing? The Dodgers have won the World Series. Alabama has won the College Football National Championship. I mean, at the beginning of this year, hell, the Lakers. The Lakers won. They're the best team. I mean, let's be honest. LeBron James. I mean, stop.
Right.
Let's play. Because that's the whole point of this thing. The Giants, 107 wins. What the hell was that? That's what is the good stuff.
And that's why we love the NCAA tournament, is because of what you're talking about, the upsets and, having the Loyola Chicagos make a run and St. Peter's and all the rest of it. That's why we love it.
Sister Jean. That was a hell of a story, wasn't it? All right.
And it still is a story. She's still with us.
Yes, she... No, I know she is.
Sister Jean Prejean. Would never want to put the good sister in the ground.
Boy, Dibs with an RIP is one of the biggest what are you doings that I could ever imagine.
Do we know how old Sister Jean is? I have the number in front of me.
Okay.
She's north of 90
Let's
for sure.
play How Old is Sister Jean?
You said for sure she's north of 90?
Oh, yeah. She's knocking on 100's door.
Just because of that statement, I'm going to go 88.
No, she's 94 and a hook, Kyle.
Yeah, way over. She is not knocking on 100's door. She has kicked the door off of its hinges.
What?
Sister Jean, 102 years old.
She's on a
going on 103.
No
she will
way.
be 103 on August 21.
She kicked down that door, by the way, and broke a hip. She's day to day.
God bless her soul. I got to imagine she goes in for the annual physical, and the doctors just put their hands up like Iguodala at the refs. And they go, what are you doing?
Willard and Dibs have a lot to say.
My only weapon was my mouth.
But they just have one big question.
What are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know. Yeah, no. Do any of us? Kevin Dan is coming up in a few. We'll keep going on the Dubs. There are things to say about the Giants' 5-game win streak. We want to hear from you, 888-957-9570. It's all sponsored by Whole Foods Market. I just want to reiterate, if you weren't with us for the changeover earlier today, because a lot of you were bothered. And again, Dibs, you're right. Yes, who cares what Brian Windhorst has to say? But then again, who cares what anybody has to say? We're sitting here talking 3 hours a day, every day for a living. People say compelling things, or they say things that give you an emotional reaction. For me, this really did. It didn't matter who was saying it. Could have been Brian, could have been Stephen A., could have been you. And it bothered me because of what it represented. So Windhorst came on with Bonte and Joe earlier today and doubled down, if you will, and tried to explain his comment about a checkbook win. And this is what he said.
It wasn't a criticism. I was praising them. When you go against the Warriors, you're not just you're going against a team that has incredible financial might. That's just a true statement. I mean, the reason that the Warriors are able to do this is because they sold 5% of their team for $300 million a few months ago. And I believe, I don't know exactly what percentage that they sold of the arena, but they sold some percentage of the arena for a couple $100 million, like a year. And they raised $500 million by selling off some pieces of their incredibly valuable asset to help finance this. And it was just tremendous, smart operations by their front office, by their ownership. They knew that Steph Curry has a window. And so they're prepared to have these $300 million salaries during the Steph Curry window. And they totally set themselves up to be able to afford it by selling off of pieces. And they're on the verge of getting rewarded with a championship. And that is tremendous management. But also, I can say, as somebody who covers the NBA and is the whole field, the other franchises aren't in position to spend $300 million. I don't see why that statement. I mean, I can understand. I think there's so much prosperity. I'm not sure why the Warriors are in such a great position. I think you're looking for something to be upset about. They're in such great shape that you shouldn't be worried at all.
Okay, you don't see why that offended people? Let me help you. Brian, what are you doing? You literally just said in there, because of their financial wealth, they're able to do this with Andrew Wiggins. No. They were willing to do this with Andrew Wiggins. They wanted to do this with Andrew Wiggins when nobody else wanted to do this, and you're taking credit away from the brilliance of the intellectual maneuver by saying it was simply a financial stronghold. What this represents, what Brian didn't understand, and what I would have loved to have said to him if I were in the middle of that conversation, is when you do something like this, you are falling into the trap that's been going on for 8 years, which is when you have all of these resources in the Warriors, when you don't win, you point and laugh at them and go, ha ha, you choked. And when they do win, you go, that's not fair. You have Kevin Durant and a lot of money. Tons of teams have a ton of money. Tons of teams have a ton of resource. Is this an even playing field? No. Just like nothing is ever an even playing field ever. Ask anyone. All of you listening to us, did you grow up with an even playing field? No, you didn't. And you might have been on the right side, the wrong side, whatever. You find a way. And the Golden State Warriors have done that in so many different ways. So to get to a point like last night, after everything they've been through, ACLs, Achilles, departures, and beyond, to get to that point the other night, and for you to immediately go to money as the reason why, it's disrespectful to Andrew Wiggins and his effort. It's disrespectful to Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, everything they did to get this team to this spot, to simply make it about the Warriors strong-arming the league. That's not what's happening here. And that's why what you said was completely offensive to the organization.
And it's nonsense. And if you want to talk about even playing fields, is it an even playing field? The fact that you happen to attend the same high school as the greatest basketball player of a generation, which, by the way, was a private school. And I'm not sure if Brian was on scholarship to get there or if he had the wherewithal as a white male in Ohio to make that happen. But the very fact that you went to the same school as LeBron James gave you a leg up, much like the Warriors have a leg up and they had the wherewithal, and they, much like you, Brian, exercised their ability to make a move to become successful. So how dare you? I'm offended overall by not only Brian Windhorst and what he had to say, but the general nature of hating on a team for using their resources. How dare you use your resources? I have parking in this building. Should I eschew safe, free, underground parking so I can brave the world of smash and grab San Francisco?
I don't know. Let's ask Kyle. I think he thinks you should. Yes.
No, I give my spot to Spadoni every opportunity.
Yes,
I get.
You do.
So
you do.
I just want to keep mine quick because I have a couple of what are you doings. I was going to go at the Giants for T-shirt gate, but I'll save that for later in the program.
We got time, yeah.
No,
yeah.
But I want to turn my attention to Fake Clay because a Big Dawes, what are you doing? Your whole Fake Clay act, it's cute. You go to the game, you look like Clay, you wears Clay's jersey, you got notoriety because you look like Clay. Well, what he did at Game 5 crosses the line because what you did is you jeopardized the jobs of security people that you clowned. You go by the metal detector dressed as Clay, no credential, they let you in. You go by the second level of security, they let you in. You go by on-floor security, they wave you in because you are perpetrating that you're Klay Thompson. So it's real cute. You got your viral video, and by the way, you're an idiot because you got thrown out and it cost you $10,000 and you're banned for life. Hey, Fake Clay, what are you doing? Your act was cute. But what you did, I found to be disrespectful because he didn't think about the security people. Because if I'm working at Chase Center building operations and you see this video and your security people got embarrassed What happens next?
Well.
You call those security people in. They might have gotten written up. They might have gotten punished.
I do want to ask the security people how they're falling for this. He looks like 2016 Clay. He doesn't look like Clay now. Come on. Clay, yeah, Clay's got way more hair than that.
He looks Clay enough to where, if you're doing your thing, and you're not going to ask Clay for his credential. What are you doing, fake Clay?
Kevin Dana joins us next. More on this around the corner. Donald Foyle next hour as well. Willard and Dibs.